Hey everybody, I want to take just a second and let you know that today's video we talk about butchering chickens. If you are squeamish about that or you're not interested in that, please go ahead and feel free to skip this video. But if you're interested in what we did and how we did it, follow us along. But yes, there will be butchering chickens, just so you're aware. Hey everybody, this is Jeff from the Great Heights and Building Control Chaos, and today we've got a ton of things going on. But first, breakfast. Gotta start the day off right. Alright, so let's talk about what we're going to do today. So, I didn't capture it, but we went ahead and planted some potatoes in a bin. I planted some potatoes out by the garden, but I wanted to plant some in a bin. We only had a few left, so I went ahead and planted them in a bin that we're going to layer. I'll get a few more seed potatoes, we'll layer them as they go. I'm just kind of experimenting how we're going to planting potatoes. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to move the pigs. The baby piglets that we got a couple of weeks ago are now big enough to move up to the main pig pen, but I have not trained them on electric fence yet. So in order to let them out in the woods and not run around in our neighbor's property like they did already, I've got to get them trained on the electric fence. But to do that, I want to bring them up into the main pig pen, but I got to put some pig paneling up so that they understand where the edge is visually. And then when they hit that electric fence, they're also going to get that nice little zap. So I got a piece of pig paneling here that we're going to move up there to kind of trap them in, and then we'll teach them with where the electric fence is. Whenever you're moving animals, it's always a multi-step process. So the first step is to make sure that their enclosure is properly set up. For this time, I set some pig panel up. I've got a nice round piece here. The electric fence is exposed enough for them to get used to it. I may actually add some lower stuff for them, but then out here, it's still running out here. And I've moved the big pig's water and food, and fence is working. Sorry, dog. But I have moved the pig's water and food out here, and we'll figure out how that works. But she's out in the woods now, which is where we want her to be anyway, and where they'll be eventually too. But so the next step, obviously, I've got the fence turned on. She wasn't wandering, so I wasn't worried about her. But we're gonna go walk the fence real quick and see if there's any low spots or any spots that need to be fixed real quick. Obviously, it's working because the dog just got zapped. Sorry, dog. And make it as hot as possible, and then we're gonna go from there. So here we go. All right, so that's accomplished. I know you didn't show any video of it, and I apologize, but I'm gonna show you just a second where what we did. So obviously, we got this area set up for them. I got their food and their water out there, right next to our female pigs' food and water here. And then they've got this whole area plus the pig barn itself. She can go down in the woods. There's lots of shade down there for her, and I'm gonna walk around here and show you the pigs. Hopefully they'll be photogenic for a few seconds here. There they are. So they seem to be pretty happy in here. They've been hit by the electric fence a couple of times already, so they're learning. It doesn't take much to teach them, but they're learning. I don't want them to test it too much, and we'll see how this goes. But there they are. Now on to our next chore, which is butchering chickens. So, our chickens, our meat birds are ready to go, so we got to get them butchered, and I'll show you the setup in just a second. So as promised, here's our setup. We've got our water boiling out here, or it's not boiling, it's just getting hot. We want it about somewhere between 105 and 110 degrees. It's usually about the right level to get the feathers off. And then we've got our cooler for keeping things cool. We got a hose down here for lots and lots of water. We got our knives, and I got the one cutting board here. Some of the smaller operations I like to use the cutting board for. Got a gut bucket, And then we got, this is new for us. Move, buddy. Move, guys, for a second. So we've always hung them up by their feet, but I've heard kill cones work really well. So
it holds them in place.
It seems to hold them in place. If you hang them up by their feet, they tend to flop and run all over the place, and just blood spurts everywhere. So we're gonna try to avoid that by putting them in. Yeah.
Everybody wear red shorts.
So we've got them in these kill cones now, and we're going to give this a try. So I'm not going to show this part. I will show some other parts, but not right now. The other thing that I did here, before we've done this up in front of the barn, which means feathers are all over the place and everything. This is right by the edge of the goat pen and the pig pen out here, and it leads out into our pasture. Don't do that. Don't do that. So the blood will just kind of run out into the pasture, and then any of the feathers and stuff can just go right down in here, and it won't hurt anything. So I'm not too worried about that. And when we're done, I can just use the pressure washer and clean this whole thing up. So this is our processing line here. You can see got people plucking chickens. Got one hanging down there, draining. I got our heat tank over here. It's going okay. Slow. It always goes slow. And so there's always the argument whether or not you want to do this yourself, or if you can find a processing place. And there's a processing place about an hour away. You could do it for a couple bucks a bird. And then, you just got to drive them there and drive them back. You lose a couple bucks a bird. Plus, right now, gas prices are ridiculous. And so that may not be the best way to do it. So, today we're doing this. Maybe next time we'll do something else. Maybe next time we'll get a plucker.
Maybe next time gas prices will go down.
We'll see. But yeah, that's where we are right now. So, day 2 of butchering. There's only so much you can do with that, and we're standing out in the really hot sun. It's 90, 95, 100 degrees, somewhere in there today and yesterday. So we did 8 of them yesterday. We got 7 left to go today. So we're trying to get them done today. Hopefully this goes a little bit faster since we got the process down yesterday. I got a bunch of helpers out there again today. At least they're excited for the beginning part. And yeah, we'll go from there. Happy animals eating this morning. Oh, she was eating. She doesn't like me out here. But the piglets are happy to be outside. She seems to be happy. They come over and nose each other quite often. So, yeah. So that was our weekend. We did a lot of work this weekend. The list seems really short, but it felt like it was forever long. And then last night, on top of everything else, we did a bonfire. We basically did a brush fire. Had a bunch of brush that needed to go, so we went ahead and burned all of that. Kids had great fun. We cooked out, had some hamburgers and stuff, and just played outside, and it was a great day, honestly. Lots of lessons learned, and I'll talk about the chickens in just a moment. Alright, so I had to get my coffee. So let's talk about lessons learned really quick. First, as always, it always takes longer than you expect it to take. It always does. No matter how many times you've done something, it still takes longer. So moving the pigs took longer than I wanted to, or it wasn't the moving the pigs itself, because that was really super simple, but making sure the electric fence was set up and clearing out their area and getting the big mama pig out of there. She was moved pretty quickly, but still it was a matter of doing that. So that took a little longer than I wanted it to. I had a number of other small projects that I needed to do, and then starting the chickens. So let's talk about the chickens now. So the chickens really simply are something we do every year, but I always dread doing it. We don't have a plucker, so if we're plucking, it's plucking by hand. So we did the first day, and we plucked them by hand, and they were 20 or 30 minutes per bird to do. The first one was probably like 45, because you have to remember how to do it and all this other good fun stuff. But 20 to 30 minutes per bird, plucking them, it was taking forever. So that took us to like 5 o'clock to get the eight birds done, and I was done. I was baked. The spot I picked back there worked out really well. Having constant running water worked really well. Because I had the hose down there and on the little table that we were working on, and everything seemed to work okay. But that spot is shady during the morning hours and part of the afternoon. But after that, it's like not so shady anymore. So the back of my neck's all burned, and yeah, it was super hot day yesterday. The last 2 days, between 95 and 101, and so it was brutal out there trying to do that. Day 2, we did it much faster, and here's how we did it. We plucked the first couple of birds, and it was slow going again. And I said, you know what? Because the little kids were helping me, and they were basically pulling all the big feathers off and then leaving the little stuff for me to finish up. And the third one I did, I said, you know what? Let's not do this anymore. And I just started peeling the skin off. Well, they'd already been dunked, and so the skin was a little flimsy. Yeah, flimsy is probably the right word. So kind of flimsy skinned, and so it wasn't peeling real well. And so then I thought, let's try something different. I've read that you can just slit them down from here to here when you're doing that, and then you can just kind of pull the skin off without even dunking them, no taking any of the feathers off, nothing. So I gave that a try, and believe it or not, it requires quite a bit of strength. I mean, a lot of pulling, but honestly, it works super well. I was very, very happy with it. And they were where the birds were taking like 20 to 30 minutes per piece, they were taking like 10, and that includes pulling all the skin off, gutting, and having a ready bird done. Maybe 15 if you include the dispatching him and letting him bleed out and everything. So that was really good. That worked out really well. I will say one of the lessons I learned was that the gallon milk jugs they're not strong enough. Their plastic is too flimsy to actually use as kill cones. You can't hang them up. We tried several different ways, like tying them up, tried screwing them into the wall, and none of that worked. I did actually at one point kind of like hold it on there. I just kind of put the bird through it, have it hanging by a string by its feet, and then just put the milk jug on there, and then dispatched them. And that worked okay, but it required too many hands. It basically would require a second person. So I'm going to work on something for a kill cone soon, but I don't have one at the good plan for it at the moment. All right, so I really appreciate all the kids' help this weekend. Several of the kids that don't normally stepped up to help, and I really appreciate that. The younger ones, I mean. And so they did a great job, and I really appreciate all the help. This could not be a one-man operation. Everything that we have to do around here just couldn't happen without all the help that I get from all the kids. And I don't say it enough, but I really appreciate all their help, including this one who's trying to get on camera this morning.
Hello.
So like I said, we had a super busy weekend. All of us came back with a little bit of sunburn, even if we really tried not to. But it was a great weekend. We got a lot of things accomplished, got a lot of things moved forward. So hopefully things will be a little bit, I always say that hopefully things will be a little bit easier. I know that there's always work to do. I know that there's always things to do. I know there's always going to be challenges. But hopefully this will mean that we can, keep moving forward, and that's all there is to it. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you like it enough that you give me a thumbs up, maybe share it with your friends, because obviously sharing helps us a little bit, and lets other people know about what we're doing here. And hopefully you learn a little bit from us. So I guess that's it. Until next time.